Hello my friends, this is Aboard Japanese. There are many videos on YouTube about things you shouldn't do in Japan, but this time I've reviewed most of the videos, focusing on the ones with high view count, and added my comments as a native Japanese person. I might not cover everything in this video, so if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. Now let's start with some commonly discussed Japanese customs. Okay, well, let's go. Don't tip and don't wear shoes indoors. These two are very famous and I'm sure most of you guys know about them. There's not much to explain, but Japan doesn't have a tipping culture and people generally don't accept tips. Sometimes I've seen videos that claim giving a tip is rude, but it's not rude at all. Honestly, I think Japanese employees would like to accept tips, but since it's not part of the culture, they simply don't. However, in izakayas, which are Japanese bars and restaurants, there's a system called otoshi, where a small appetizer you didn't order is served first, and you're charged for it. I once received raw cabbage as an appetizer at an izakaya, and was automatically charged 400 yen. As for not wearing shoes indoors, I think it's self-explanatory, so I won't elaborate. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to take off your shoes, please do so. Don't eat or drink while walking. This has been discussed in many videos. Some say it's unacceptable, while others say that it's fine because there is a culture of tabe-aruki, which is eating on the go. In my opinion, it's generally okay to eat or drink while walking, but it depends on the food and the situation. For example, buying onigiri or hot snacks from a convenience store and eating while walking is fine, but eating pasta while walking is just weird. In situations like eating on the train, it's better to refrain from eating. Drinks are okay. Sometimes you see a tired businessman drinking alcohol on their way home on the train. I think the idea that you shouldn't eat or drink while walking stems from the concern about spilling food and dirty in the street. If food spills on the ground, it attracts crows and other animals, creating a cycle of mess. Don't stick chopsticks upright in rice, and don't pass food with chopsticks. These are based on Buddhist prohibitions in East Asia, even if a foreigner accidentally does this. Japanese people typically won't get angry, but it is considered bad manners. So if you can avoid doing it, please try not to. The reason these are viewed as bad manners, sticking chopsticks upright in rice is reminiscent of offerings to the deceased, and then the practice of passing bones during funeral, which can invoke unpleasant associations. Don't blow your nose in public. Honestly, I've never thought much about this, but I can't recall seeing someone blow their nose loudly in public. It's probably better to avoid it. If you must, do it in a private place like in a restroom. Don't display tattoos in public. There's generally no issue with this. However, some hot springs and public baths prohibit entry for those with tattoos, but walking around with a visible tattoo is completely fine. I'll touch on the topic of tattoos in public baths later. Don't jaywalk. This is something you should generally avoid. However, I'll admit that if there are no people around and no cars coming, I might cross the street. I also wouldn't do it when children are around because it's not good if they mimic my behavior. I'm not intending for people to break rules, but I'm just telling. Don't use phones on public transport. This is a bit strange. While chatting on the train is acceptable, talking on the phone in a soft voice is seen as rude. It's best to avoid talking on your phone. Emergency calls are okay. When I worked for a company, I would take calls on the train while trying to speak quietly, saying, "Sorry, I'm on the train right now. I'll call you back later." Don't serve yourself alcohol. This is common in business settings where you pour drinks for your clients or superiors. However, with your friends, it's usually not a big deal. Still, if you know this custom and pour for your Japanese friends, they might appreciate it. I think this custom will continue for some time. When I worked for a company, my boss would often say, "It's okay, I can pour for myself," as we frequently went out for drinks together. He probably didn't want to make me feel obligated. Don't leave food on your plate. In Japan, it's generally considered best not to leave food uneaten. This comes from a historical context of food scarcity after the war, and then the agrarian culture that resists wasting what they produce. It's customary to finish all the food served, and schools often promote finishing your meal. However, this culture has challenges. Overemphasis on finishing food can lead to neglecting personal health and preferences. Despite this culture, Japan also struggles with food waste, with approximately 6 million pounds generated annually. Many restaurants refuse takeout for hygiene and quality control reasons, but recently, more places have started providing takeout containers. Regulations may also limit takeout to cooked dishes to avoid food poisoning risks. I think there's a need for improvement in both culture and systems. Don't enter public baths with tattoos. It's well known that people with tattoos are often not allowed into hot springs. Many facilities still refuse entry to tattooed individuals due to the association with the Yakuza in Japan. However, recently there are people who get tattoos for fashion, and individuals from cultures like Samoa have traditional tattoos. These tattoos are their pride and identity, and they are not Yakuza members. It's unfair that such individuals are denied entry. I once had to pay extra for a private hot spring with a friend from America because he had tattoos, which were just a character from Chainsaw Man named Makima. In some local public baths, tattooed individuals can enter, and I often see them there. They don't pose any harm, they just want to relax in the hot bath. Don't forget to stand for elderly or pregnant people. This is something you can find in many countries, not just Japan. Let's give our seats to the elderly, pregnant women, and those with disabilities. It's not special to Japan. Don't open or close taxi doors. In Japan, I would say about 95% of taxis have automatic doors, so wait to see if the door opens automatically. If it doesn't, then you can open it yourself, but typically the driver will take care of it, so there's no need to worry too much. Don't use chopsticks to point. Chopsticks are for eating, not for pointing. While there are many chopstick etiquette rules, most Japanese people, including myself, may not perfectly follow them. So I don't think it's something foreigners need to worry about too much. Just be mindful, as it can directly make someone uncomfortable. The chopstick rules I mentioned earlier, like sticking them upright or passing food, won't typically anger someone, but it's good to avoid doing them. Don't forget to queue. Japan is known for orderly queuing, so let's follow the rules. When boarding trains or waiting to pay at the convenience stores, there naturally tends to be a line, so please join it. Don't litter. Please don't throw garbage on the street. In some cases, people might get upset if they see you littering, so be cautious. However, due to anti-terrorism measures, garbage bins have been removed from many places, so it can be challenging to find a place to dispose of trash. I often find myself carrying my garbage home. Actually, I always have trouble disposing of trash when I go out. Don't smoke in public areas. Where smoking is allowed or not is determined by local ordinances, and there's no uniform rule across Japan. However, most people aren't fond of smoking on the street, so it's better to avoid it altogether. Second-hand smoke is also an issue, and it can lead to people throwing their butts on the street. Don't pour soy sauce directly on rice. I was surprised to learn that some people overseas do this. When I asked my American girlfriend, she admitted to having done it before, which made me laugh. Feel free to enjoy rice as you like. However, pouring soy sauce directly on rice seems a bit weird to Japanese people. It's okay if it is with fish on it, but you can mix butter and soy sauce with your rice. It's delicious. If you're curious, give it a try. Don't think you're expected slurp. There are claims that not slurping noodles in Japan is considered rude, but that's not true at all. When I eat ramen, I usually slurp the noodles. However, when I eat ramen with a guest from America, I refrained from slurping to avoid making him uncomfortable. But when I'm with my American girlfriend, she doesn't really care, so I just slurp my noodles. I believe it's important to eat in a way that accommodates the other person to ensure they don't feel uncomfortable. Don't enter a hot spring without washing first. This is something you should definitely adhere to for hygiene reasons. Once I saw someone enter a public bath after a sauna covered in sweat, and it felt really disgusting. You wouldn't want to share a bath filled with someone else's sweat. Before entering the hot spring, it's important to wash yourself, even if you don't have to wash thoroughly. In Japan, there's a practice called kakeyu, where you pour hot water over your body to rinse off any dirt or sweat before entering the bath. Don't always expect to exchange cash by hand directly. When shopping in Japan, it's common to use a tray for the exchange of money. Before COVID, it was sometimes acceptable to hand cash directly, but after the pandemic, I feel using trays for transactions has become more prevalent for hygiene reasons. However, it does make you wonder if there's much point in using a tray since the chassis is still handled by both parties. Don't be late. Japan is known for its strictness about punctuality, and this is true. Please make an effort to be on time. If I know I might be even a minute late, I inform the other person ahead of time, even if I'm actually not late eventually. I might not bother letting close friends know for a delay of 2 or 3 minutes, but with business contacts or people I'm not close to, it's safer to let them know if I'm going to be late even for only 1 minute. The impression you leave by informing someone of a delay versus not saying anything can be quite different. So as soon as you realize you might be late, let them know how late you expect to be. Don't point at people. I think pointing at someone right in front of you is likely considered rude in many cultures. For example, if you're among a crowd searching for a friend, it's acceptable to point out where they are, like, oh, he's there. This is probably similar in other countries. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. In Japan, it's generally better to use your whole hand to indicate something instead of pointing with your finger. It's seen as more polite. Don't wear sunglasses and shorts in formal settings. In business meetings or formal occasions, please avoid wearing sunglasses or shorts. In one video, it was mentioned that you should take off your sunglasses when in a shrine. I understand that for some people from the West, like bright sunlight can be uncomfortable due to their lighter eye colors. However, personally, I feel it's unnecessary to suffer just to maintain etiquette. If the sun bothers you, feel free to wear your sunglasses while exploring the shrine. However, as recently highlighted, hanging from the torii gate of a shrine is a significant disrespect. So please do not do that. Shrines are not places for play, they are sacred spaces. In some IT companies, wearing shorts might be acceptable, which is completely fine. However, some people believe that Japanese people generally do not wear shorts. I completely disagree with this notion. Japanese people do wear shorts. I myself wear shorts almost all summer long. There are plenty of Japanese people who wear shorts around me. It doesn't really matter whether Japanese people wear shorts or not. Don't block escalators. Honestly, I'm not sure how to phrase this, but as a Japanese person, I typically stand on one side of the escalator. However, in recent public facilities like train stations, they often ask people to stand on both sides instead. This is likely for efficiency, but people still stand aside to allow those in a hurry to pass. This might be a bad habit among Japanese people, but it's best to go with the flow of those around you. Don't assume it's a forgotten item. This is common in Japan, especially in crowded cafes where people leave jackets or bags on tables while they go to order. This lets others know that the table is taken, while the risk of theft in Japan is relatively low. It's not zero. So be careful not to leave your valuable items like phones or wallets unattended to keep the table. That's it. I got so tired. If there is anything else you want to know, please let me know in the comment section. I'll answer as much as possible. Have a good one. See you in the next video.